WWE NXT UK Results February 10, 22 First match, Amale vs Nina. Samuels collar and elbow tie-up. Samuels talks smack to Amale. Forearm exchange. Samuels reverses out of the Irish whip from Amale. Amale decks Samuels with a back elbow smash. Samuels reverses out of another Irish whip from Amale. Amale ducks a clothesline from Samuels. Amale drops Samuels with a shoulder tackle. Samuels drops down on the canvas. Samuels leapfrogs over Amale. Samuels with a hip toss. Amale answers with an up kick. Wrist lock exchange. Amale with a hip toss. Amale with the butterfly suplex. Amale goes for the running boot, but Samuels ducks out of the way. Samuels uses the ring skirt to Amale. Samuels kicks Amale in the face. Samuels slams Amale's head on the ring apron. Samuels rolls Amale back into the ring. Samuels hooks the outside leg for a 1 count. Samuels repeatedly stomps on Amale's chest. Amale with heavy body shots. Samuels drives her knee into the midsection of Amale. Samuels whips Amale across the ring. Amale holds onto the ropes. Amale kicks Samuels in the face. Samuels with the roundhouse kick. Samuels with the slingshot splash for a 2 count. Samuels repeatedly bounces Amale's head on the canvas. Following a snapmare takeover, Samuels applies a rear chin lock. Samuels pulls Amale down to the mat for a 2 count. Samuels goes back to the rear chin lock. Amale with heavy body shots. Amale ducks a clothesline from Samuels. Amale with 2 clotheslines. Amale kicks Samuels in the gut. Amale with a pump knee strike. Amale with a running clothesline. Amale follows that with a senton splash for a 2 count. Samuels denies the hope breaker. Samuels hits the tilt-a-whirl backbreaker for a 2 count. Samuels repeatedly stomps on Amale's back. Amale dodges the running boot. Amale kicks out the legs of Samuels. Amale nails Samuels with the pump kick. Amale connects with the hope breaker to pick up the victory. Winner, Amale via pinfall. We got a video recap of last week's Japanese street fight with Meiko Satomura and Blair Davenport. In 2 weeks, Mustache Mountain will put their NXT UK Tag Team titles on the line against Ashton Smith and Oliver Carter. Jack Stars wants to earn Dave Mastiff's respect. Mastiff says that he'll think about it. Kenny Williams vignette. Second match, the A-Kid vs Saxon Huxley. Huxley denies the single leg takedown. Greco-Roman knuckle lock. Huxley slings Kid across the ring. Kid with a waist lock go behind. Kid continues to stick and move. Kid drop steps into a front face lock. Huxley brings Kid to the ring apron. Kid slaps Huxley in the face. Kid ducks a clothesline from Huxley. Kid applies the sleeper hold. Huxley with a snapmare escape. Kid repeatedly kicks Huxley in the face. Huxley drops Kid with the Luthe press. Huxley starts ragdolling Kid in the center of the ring. Kid sidesteps Huxley into the turnbuckles. Kid with an apron enziguri. Huxley catches Kid in mid-air. Huxley body slams Kid. Huxley delivers a gut punch. Huxley drives Kid's sternum first into the middle turnbuckle. Huxley clotheslines the back of Kid's neck. Huxley whips Kid across the ring. Huxley with a pendulum backbreaker for a 2 count. Huxley with 2 seated sentons. Huxley applies the Canadian backbreaker rack. Kid lands back on his feet. Kid with a chop/forearm combination. Huxley drives his knee into the midsection of Kid. Huxley whips Kid across the ring. Kid applies the octopus stretch. Kid ducks a clothesline from Huxley. Kid with an arm drag takeover. Kid drop kicks Huxley. Huxley goes for a running elbow drop, but Kid ducks out of the way. Huxley goes for another thigh press, but Kid counters with an ankle pick. Kid kicks the left shoulder of Huxley. Kid with the mid-kick. Huxley drops Kid with a spinning backbreaker. Kid rolls under a clothesline from Huxley. Kid lands the suicide dive. Kid with the flying crossbody block for a 2 count. Kid applies the Fujiwara armbar. Kid with a knee lift. Huxley with an elevated backbreaker for a 2 count. Huxley with clubbing blows to Kid's chest. Huxley goes for a belly-to-back suplex, but Kid counters with the slice bread. Kid connects with the jumping super kick for a 2 count. Huxley applies a wrist lock. Kid with a step-up enziguri. Huxley maintains wrist control. Kid plants Huxley with the springboard DDT to pick up the victory. After the match, Huxley shakes hands with Kid. Winner, the A-Kid via pinfall. Jordan Devlin attacks Wolfgang in the backstage area with a steel chair. A-Kid had a brief backstage run-in with Di Familia. Next week on NXT UK, Kenny Williams will battle Sam Gradwell. Third match, Nathan Frazer vs Teoman W/Di Familia collar and elbow tie-up. Teoman with forearm shivers. Teoman kicks Frazer in the gut. Frazer with a double leg takedown. Frazer stomps on Teoman's back. Frazer tells Teoman to bring it. Frazer with 2 haymakers. Teoman drives Frazer back first into the turnbuckles. Teoman talks smack to Frazer. Frazer ducks a clothesline from Teoman. Frazer applies a side headlock. Frazer with a side headlock takeover. Teoman sends Frazer to the corner. Frazer dives over Teoman. Frazer with another side headlock takeover. Teoman with heavy body shots. Teoman backs Frazer into the ropes. The referee calls for a clean break. Teoman rocks Frazer with a forearm smash. Frazer is throwing haymakers at Teoman. Frazer whips Teoman across the ring. Frazer drop kicks Teoman. Teoman launches Frazer over the top rope. Frazer with a straight right hand. Teoman slams Frazer's head on the top rope. Teoman with a neck breaker across the top turnbuckle. Teoman rolls Frazer back into the ring. Teoman goes into the cover for a 2 count. Frazer with 2 sharp elbow strikes. Teoman drop kicks the left knee of Frazer. Teoman with a basement drop kick for a 2 count. Teoman applies a rear chin lock. Teoman hammers down on Frazer's neck. Teoman grabs a side headlock. Teoman rams his forearm across Frazer's face. Frazer is displaying his fighting spirit. Teoman floors Frazer with a gut punch. Teoman with downward punches across the back of Frazer's neck. Teoman kicks Frazer in the back. Teoman hammers down on the back of Frazer's neck. Teoman toys around with Frazer. Frazer with clubbing palm strikes. Teoman kicks Frazer in the gut. Teoman with the Irish whip. Frazer drives Teoman face first into the middle turnbuckle pad. Frazer dumps Teoman out of the ring. Teoman gets Frazer trapped in the ring skirt. Haymaker exchange. Frazer with the moonsault off the ringside barricade. Frazer rolls Teoman back into the ring. Frazer gets distracted by Di Familia. Teoman uses the ring skirt to blind Frazer. Teoman repeatedly stomps on the back of Frazer's neck. Teoman sends Frazer back inside the ring. Teoman applies the cravate. Teoman whips Frazer across the ring. Teoman clotheslines the back of Frazer's neck. Teoman applies the bow and arrow stretch. Frazer ducks a clothesline from Teoman. Frazer denies the crossface. Frazer with 2 shoulder blocks. Frazer blocks a boot from Teoman. Frazer kicks Teoman in the face. Frazer showcases his athleticism. Teoman delivers the missile drop kick for a 2 count. Frazer avoids the sliding forearm. Frazer super KCKS Teoman. Frazer with a flying forearm smash. Frazer hits the sling blade. Teoman denies the swinging fisherman's neck breaker. Frazer wipes out Di Familia with the flying crossbody block to the outside. Frazer rolls Teoman back into the ring. Frazer with the springboard elbow drop for a 2 count. Frazer with a jawbreaker. Teoman drop kicks Frazer in mid-air. Teoman with the twisting neckbreaker for a 2 count. Teoman connects with the sliding forearm for a 2 count. Teoman is shocked. Teoman repeatedly stomps on Frazer's chest. Frazer drops Teoman with a step-up enziguri. Frazer kicks Charlie Dempsey off the ring apron. The referee gets distracted by Raja. Frazer with 3 sharp elbow strikes. Frazer plants Teoman with the 450 splash to pick up the victory. Winner, Nathan Frazer via pinfall.